Hello and welcome to another episode of Invalid Entry. My name is James Taylor and today we're going to do an Antiscape development vlog, talk about the progress of that, and there's a couple of channel updates I'm going to do at the end as well, just for fun, bonus content. About a month ago I left off on this. We have done some changes on this in the past month, but it's not been a massive amount of development because remember this is a hobby. I have got a paid job as well. But yeah, this is where we left off. The character can walk around the test grid. This is the test grid, the line in the middle. What happened was I got together with a guy called Lucas. Lucas is going to do some art, and one of the things he wanted to change was he wanted to change the look and feel slightly, and this caused a fair amount of debate, actually, a fair amount of thinking. Where we talked about the shapes for probably about a week, 2 weeks before we could, progress stalled while we had those conversations. Which is perfectly fine, because you want to get these things right now. Coming back later, it changes. There's a lot of rework to do. So even changing 5 items in the character art, there's a fair amount of rework we have to do. But there's an opportunity to make some good changes here. So this is what it did look like, and now what it's going to look like is this. So this is basically the same thing, but the character hasn't changed here. I'm using the old character here, but the layout is different. You might notice it looks like the camera is further down. What we've basically done is change the perspective. So on the left here is actually true isometric perspective. Not on the cardboard boxes, but on these boxes, this point is basically in the middle. Each of these cubes is actually a cylinder, a hexagon in shape. The outline is a hexagon. Whereas this isn't. This is basically computer isometric, which means it looks isometric, and people probably go, it's isometric, it's isometric style. Isometric really is a mathematical term to indicate the projection of things. There are certain projections which make more sense, like carpenters projects. If you're building things, it means the measurements can be made versus what the eye actually sees. So we decided to change the angle, and one of the big reasons is here. These diagonal lines here are not truly diagonal, and actually it causes some weird things going up here. You see here, I've always had this issue on this top line where it doesn't quite do the double line properly, and as I move up it sort of jumps for that top. You see it sort of glitching just there in the top lines there, whereas here I don't get those issues at all. So we have changed the perspective slightly, which means these are not true things. What we then did, because we changed the perspective, there was a big debate about how tall the box should be for it still to look like a cube, because these things are supposed to be, these aren't like tall, but these things are supposed to look like cubes. What it led to was this Discord poll, if I open this up, which looked at this. It was the case of which of these boxes looks most like a cube, and it's a very subjective question, and I posed this question in particular because Lucas's first choice was actually 2, and he said, I think this is a cube, and I said it's way too short, and I think it was going to be 5 or 6. I think we went for 6 in the end. So when I presented this, I knew there was some psychology to the question. The first bit of psychology is always, if you give someone multiple choice, they're nearly always going to go for one in the middle. I know people watching this are probably, the more problematic people say, no, I'm definitely never going to do that. It is a psychological thing. You can trick people into making choices when they're unaware of it, subliminally influence their choice. So I made sure I shortened it by 1 to give us a 1, and made my one I thought longer by 1. And all these are 1 pixel higher than the rest of them, so it may look 4 and 5 are the same height, but when you compare 1 and 6, there's a very distinct difference in height there. So when you're looking at these, it is a bit subjective as to what you think a cube is. We went for 6 for a couple of reasons. One, because it gives you a little bit more space on the side to play with when it comes to designing blocks. So this is a big design decision we've made. This is a big thing to get right. So we spent time thinking about it, went to bed, came back in the morning, looked at it again, went, yeah, okay, we're going for this number. Once we've locked that in, the main thing here, these diagonals are always 2. So it's 2 blocks down 1, 2 pixels, 2 pixels down 1, 2 pixels, 2 pixels, and so on. There was a big debate about should it be an even or odd edge, this thick black here. There's a big discussion about that. And there are lots of little discussions around these corners and things like that. But it allowed us, once we got past that point, allowed us then to move forward and say, once you've got one block done, and you've got your height done, you can very quickly then say, well, I'm going to port my original test block. So I've got stone, like some smooth stone here, some kind of lava block. Cardboard boxes, I want to test not quite full blocks, so these cardboard boxes are slightly less volts. And stacking, this one's important here because these totems will come back in the game, they're stacking. So you see here, do they stack correctly? Are there bits missing between the, or do they overlap? And actually, if I look at this, it kind of looks to me like it's overlapping slightly. I think we lose a pixel of the block, that the top block on top it chops a pixel off underneath, which isn't the end of the world, but it's something to watch out for. So we are getting stacking going on here. So yeah, I think this looks cleaner. It's much easier to make if you just want to make a what wouldn't be a diagonal but a straight line parallel to the ground at any point. You now know what to do. Whereas on the old system, you had to. It was occasionally 2 pixels, occasionally it was 1 pixel. It was very, very jaggedy. These lines are very jaggedy, and it's really cleaned that up in the design. Because the way I programmed this, it wasn't too hard to get the blocks in. We just gave it a new half height, because I've got these 2 fixed. They're not variables, but it's Python, so they are two fixed numbers which are half height and half width, and that all the calculations just drop out, and it came out really nicely. So yeah, porting the new artwork in was quickly. Once you've done that, though, the next question is the character. So the characters will actually begin to look like this, and one of the side effects of changing the angle, by the way, is that the vertical distance you can see in this way, the sort of most blocks you can see this way, you can actually now see more blocks this way than you could previously, because you brought the camera down. You can now see further in the distance, and bizarrely you can also see further towards you. Things that were down here so come into the camera view is the way to think about that. So you can actually see more gameplay area by smoothing that camera down a little bit on this sort of size screen, which I think is how most people are going to play, sort of a wider screen that is tall. So yeah, that's a pretty nice little render. The character won't be 2 blocks high. One of the problems I had before was when you come over here, this is the old character, so it'll be 2 blocks high. The problem was I was starting to go was, well, if I want to put hats and things on the character, you won't be able to see I will sort of go into the block, I'll get clipping. So what we decided to do is actually make the character just over 2 blocks high, which gives tons of space for like shoulders sticking up, or helmets, or Mohicans, or anything that we want to do. We're also going to make the character much more configurable. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to start to program in with the arms and things. What's going to happen is the face is actually going to be skin tone, and I've got the skin tone again from scratch. If I run this again, by the way, at the moment it doesn't save the character settings, but every time you run it, you get a different skin, a different hair color. So you'll be able to select your skin tone from day one. That's going to be from day one, and you're going to select your hairstyle from day one as well, because really that helps you identify your character as being you. It should look like you. It should be options. At the moment you've got the option between long hair and short hair, but you're going to have more hair choices. So the hair will be dropped onto the sprite sheet, and we're going to dynamically calculate the sprite sheets. And I will do, I think I did one a couple of years ago, how to dynamically make sprite sheets before loading them into Pygame. But I will do a video on that, how the character sprite sheet in particular is generated to be yours, and that speeds up the number of blits I do. The other thing we're going to do is the face will also be added on dynamically as well. So here you've got a locked expression, whereas the new system, the expressions will change as you do things in the game. So actually when you get shot or you shoot, it'll be like more concentration faces or shocked faces. Or animated, over-stylized faces are going to what's happen here. But yeah, this is a big change. These angles are a big change. Reanimating all of the arm positions, the near and far arm positions, so on, all skin tones, things, they'll all come in naturally in the next week or so. So I'm hoping there'll be some movement there. There is also news on the server side, so I have been working quite hard on the server side and deciding some decisions there around WebSockets and channels and how we're going to synchronize clients in a way that I think make the game semi-scalable. Like I'm hoping this. I mean, who's going to really play this in the early days? And if it does take off, then we'll have more time and effort to put into it. But the reality is, I want to be able to scale up to a certain number of people without this lag. I've made some decisions on how some of the game mechanics work, which allows me to run more players at the same CPU cost. Some decisions I think Minecraft can't go back and fix now, but I think there were mistakes in how they decide how Minecraft works under the hood. So yeah, that's Antiscape at the moment. Big change in style. Still not sure about the size of this. One of the things was how big the head was. Once you start, like everything is sort of questioning how long are the arm, where does the arm come down to? Changing up and down by 1 pixel, making it that decision now really means that we don't have to re-render assets, because the moment we start making things like jumpers or customizable things, you have to re-render all the artwork or get all the artwork in sync again, especially when you're making it in this way. If we were using a 3D modeling engine, it'd be a bit different, because you could just slap skins or layers on, colors onto objects, but we're not. We're doing this the old school pixel way. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, this is my crib right now. So I think I've done arms. I'm not very happy about, as the arm comes forwards, I'm not very happy about how it sort of crosses the body. I think especially if I go right here, it becomes to me like the arm is more gone across the body, and that's how I've got to redraw these. This was a very quick test to see whether I could do the arms. There's a lot of work here to do, a lot of fun to be had doing it. So yeah, if anyone's interested or any idea about blocks or ideas about, especially character customization, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. I will be publishing some of these assets as PSDs and things on the Invalid Entry website, so if people want to download them and do things to them, I'm more than keen to see what people do. Just bear in mind, if you do give me things and I steal them, that's on your fault for giving them to me. As another quick channel update, moving on very quickly, this is going to be a shortest video. I'm also beginning to make giveaways on the channel, right? And they are basically NFT giveaways. I'm going to be giving these away to people. I've already made one which is called the Before Fame one. I've been giving this away already to a bunch of people who really helped me out in the early days of the channel, who really got me started. I don't care what you do with them once I've given them away. I'm not selling them. There may be ones we sold in the future, but I want to give these away to people to award them. So they're collectibles. We will do something as the channel grows, especially when we hit the 255 subscriber counts. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We'll probably give away a bunch more then to more people. So the first one's only a limited edition of 10. It says I own 6, but I've actually given away since I refreshed this page. So yeah, it's in the thing called the Invalid Entry collection, and it's a thank you to everybody who helped me out in the early days, who gave me confidence to do this, who came back with comments and ideas and suggestions, and helped me out. And there are a few of you out there who I really, really want to thank for that. So if you've been given one of these, or I've messaged you about giving me an ETH address, it's for one of these. So it's for the number 1, and each one will be numbered. So we'll do a sequence of these throughout the Invalid Entry life and see where we get to on this. But yeah, I think if you want to try and collect them, you want to find out who owns them and pest them and buy them off them, go ahead. By the way, I have put on this collection, if you do resell it, if you sell it, I think 0.5% or however much you charge for it comes back to me. And that's just so that if you sell it for £1 million, then I'm going to get something. But if you sell it for 20 pence, I'll get enough to fund, just selling these things or setting these things up in future. There are downsides to NFTs, but yeah, I will do a session on NFTs in particular, just so you know, if you've had a message from me about if this is what I'm trying to send you. There are actually only 9 in existence now. We think we've destroyed one. Yay! In testing out the process. So that just shows how good we are at this. But yeah, they are heading out there now, and I say when we get to 255 subscribers, we will do another drop of something. I'm having some artwork. I'm sort of sorting out the art. It will be an animated one for 255. But yeah, until next time, I'm going to do some more work on this now, and we'll see where we are. See you soon.